It's a very good evening to you. Welcome to the West Ham Boys Friday Night Live, Friday late night. It's been a while, and it's a great time to actually do a Friday night because the co-host, who's coming on in a minute, Nigel, absolutely loves talking about his favourite person at West Ham United. And that, of course, is Karren Brady. I can't keep a straight face. His car can't even get her name out. Let's bring him on, shall we? I hope you're all doing well. I'm sorry, mate.
Brady,
I thought I was going to say it with a straight face, but what a week, eh? How are you? I mean, it's been a while.
Yeah, busy man. I've had a lot go on, family things and work things and illnesses and other things. I still know how to upset people on Twitter, so I've not lost that.
Mate, I'm leaving Twitter. I know I keep saying it, but I think I will leave soon because it does me no favors. I remember you once told me you got to go on Twitter to boost the channel and all that.
Yeah,
and
that's right. Yeah.
I'm not so sure I give a damn about it anymore. But yeah, good to see that you're upsetting people. I mean, what, you and Sean? I mean, take your pick.
Well, yeah.
There's a lot going on, isn't there? And you know, I mean, we do try and keep it on stuff on the football pitch, but you just can't. West Ham can't help themselves, can they, mate? I mean, shall we start with Miss Brady?
Well, yes,
Brady.
I watched it today.
Right.
Because at first I thought, what's she gonna say that I ain't heard? So you think nothing, and then you see clips, you hear things, and you think, oh, all right, let's play it out. And blimey, there's it's funny. I watched it, and you think, years ago I did a few videos before where I would do, I would comment. So I would download their video, clip it up. I did it to David Gold and whatever, and then I would put across why I thought they were wrong, being disingenuous or outright lying. And I couldn't even be bothered realistically to sit and do that. What she said in regards West Ham, I mean, the way they bought the club, she was only going to be there for 6 months. She's still there. Possibly right. If you look at the stadium move very quickly, the day they bought the club, Sullivan announced that they were going to go for the Olympic Stadium.
Yeah, I mean, straight away, wasn't it?
Straight away.
Yeah.
A big thing he'd already, said that was that they'd already spoke to Newham Council. So before they bought the club, they'd already spoke to Newham Council.
So in a way, it was almost like they were lining it up. Part of the plan, if we buy West Ham, it's almost as if it felt it was on the proviso that move was going to happen.
I mean, I think it's like 10 years ago now. I first wrote, and it was that long, about how when you look at what they did at Birmingham, this is the MO. And actually, if you look at the 2 times they tried to move Birmingham City out of St Andrews. Now, she never said that. When in that interview, she spoke about how they regenerated the stadium. They built 3 stands. Obviously, football has 4 stands, so that tells you something. But here's another thing: they rebuilt 3 stands, left an old one. Remember last year, Birmingham City had to shut some of the stands because they weren't built properly.
Yeah,
that was 2 of the new stands that they built.
Yeah, not the old one. Yeah.
Not the old one. Yeah. So obviously they're not going to mention that. She then, when she talked about in regards Birmingham, what they wanted to do is they wanted Birmingham City Council to so if Birmingham City had won the Commonwealth Games and not Manchester, and this is sliding doors moment, yeah, Manchester beat Birmingham to win the Commonwealth Games. So Manchester gets what is now the Etihad Stadium, but it was the City of Manchester Stadium, Manchester City. if that had gone to Birmingham City would have moved into that stadium,
That's
that
right.
athletic stadium, that
That co-
multi-use stadium.
Yep.
Yeah. So they just picked that up, and they had 2 goes because there was a Super Casinos license competition that was put out, and Birmingham City Council applied for a Super Casino with a multi-sports stadium, and Birmingham City were part of that, and that was in 2008 or 9, just before they sold the club. That failed. Birmingham didn't win that bid. That stadium got canned. They sell the club to Carson Young. They then buy West Ham. You know, she goes, oh, they were Boyd clubs. Yeah, David Gold was a Boyd fan, undoubtedly. Dave Sullivan. You know, I found a video of him. It's got to be 12, 13 years ago. While he owns Birmingham City, where he sits and goes, it was on Men and Motors channel, and he says, you know, if you weren't going to own Birmingham, what would you do? He said, well, I'd buy Cardiff City because they were the club I supported first.
Yep. Yep.
You know, so they forget what's gone on in the past. They rewrite history constantly.
Well, it's selective forgetfulness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, and the thing is, it's all out there in the public, so it's easy for people like me. But I've been there. I have done these things. I've done these videos 10, 12 years ago. I don't feel the need to get angry so much about. The move is the move. It is what it is. We can't.
I'll ask you a couple of questions. If Birmingham won that bid and they managed to move Birmingham City into a stadium there, do you think they would have bothered to sell up?
I think if Birmingham City was going into an athletic stadium, they would have stayed at Birmingham City.
Yeah, I think so too. And then the next question is almost similar.
Yeah.
Had that proviso, had the talks not happened when they were looking to buy West Ham,
Yeah,
about moving into this stadium, do you think they would have bought West Ham? Or would they? Because if the stadium was never on the cards, that would have meant we would have had to modify, improve the
well,
bowling.
it is the funny thing. So you got to look in the life of the stadium. So you got to look back roughly to 2007. So when the Icelandics buys, the Icelandics inquire about moving into the Olympic Stadium.
They did inquire.
They did inquire.
Okay.
And they were told that it would cost them between 120 and 150 million pound to pay for the regeneration of the stadium from an athletics into a football stadium.
Right.
The Icelandics at the time balked at that idea, thought it was too much money. So they never pursued going to the stadium. Of course, then you had the Icelandic banking crash that wiped out, you know, our ownership. Meant our ownership had to be transferred from the biggest bankrupt in history, Godolfsson or whatever his name is, into a bank, Icelandic bank, that actually was also bankrupt. So it took West Ham over as a bad debt. And they then went through the process of selling off players and trying to find buyers for the club.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's the funny thing when you look back. So the 2 other bidders, I believe at the time, were Massimo Cellini, who for a period owned Leeds United when they became real basket case. I mean, he was a right nutcase.
Yeah.
And Tony Fernandez,
yeah,
who I believe he may have sold up at QPR, but he was involved at QPR for a good 10 odd years. Brought in Formula One people
because
as well.
he lost out on West Ham, didn't he?
Yes, he bought QPR, lost out.
He was a West Ham fan.
Yeah, got them promoted, and you know they soon bombed out the Premier League and just fell away. You know, I think the Mittals come in and did a bit, and so it was all, you know, there was that. So when you look at what they did in buying the club, you know, they were quite clever because they only bought, people forget, they only bought 50% of the club. When they initially bought it, they bought 50%. Why did the Icelandics do the deal with them? Because what basically they did was they've gone to this, give us total control of the club. We're experts, at the end of the day, they took Birmingham from being bankrupt into a Premier League club, you could say. So business side, Birmingham had grown. They could point to that. If we do that at West Ham, your 50% would be worth more money.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's what happens. So, they've had every single penny they've ever put into that football club back, and more some. So when they talk about, when she sits and talks about what they've invested, they've only invested the money that the club's made. It's not what the owners are put in.
Yeah.
So
and then she goes on about the stadium, about how fans have got to move on, and and some fans don't like change and all that. And I hear that, but at the same time, what I said when I did a video about her podcast, and I've seen others do the same. I think a lot of fans. There's someone that just said, quite a lot of us wanted to go to the new stadium because we were sold a dream, weren't we? Now, I know you at the time, you were quite against it. You were sort of like, campaigning against it, and your sort of campaign, it fell on a lot of deaf ears, didn't it? But you've been put right. You what you've said then has now come to fruition. It's like the stadium's not fit for purpose, etc., etc. But we were sold that dream. I remember going to Stratford in that office that they had in the shopping centre, and they showed me where my first seat was going to be, and they sold me the dream about that. It's going to be like a cop end, and you just get that vision of your mind immediately goes to the Liverpool ground, and you go, oh yeah, I'll have some of that. And it was nothing like that. So there's one thing about people not liking change. But there's a whole different thing about being misled, if that is a polite way to put it.
Yeah, well, I mean, and this is the thing that but of course they're not going to sit there and go and bring up, she was the one who said world-class stadium with a world-class team. She was the one that said it. So has she delivered a world-class team? No. Have we got a world-class stadium? We've got a stadium that actually educates every football club now, because every football club looking to move into a new stadium will look at what West Ham have done and make sure they don't make the same mistakes. Everton's football ground, they've just had 10,000 fans in there for a test event. West Ham fans were never allowed to set foot in that stadium until the first game.
So we didn't really know what we were going to get.
No.
Apart from what was sold to us on a video.
Yeah, CGIs can be clever. They, you could pick out little bits, but they hid a lot.
Yeah.
It was funny because there's CGIs. There's a CGI with fan crowd, and they're all waving flags. And then when you get there, you read the terms and conditions. You're not allowed to take a flag in the ground. Stupid things like that. They hid the gap. But why did the fans, and this is the thing, on the CGI images, if you go back to 2013 when they put them out, why did they have flags? And why was the image, there was a fan and he took up like half the screen with a scarf. His scarf was hiding the gaps.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was clever in the way they did it and presented it. When they first presented it to the fans, one of the directors of the club now came up to me and asked me, well, and they, they've had 2 years of me already going, you're going to kill the club. It said to me, what do you think? Hey, you impressed now? And I looked at it and went, I can argue against that. And she just went, or you could probably argue in a phone box with yourself, and walked away. And I did argue against it. And you know what? it was strange at first. I didn't know how to do it, so I had a flag made and stood outside and got people to do a petition. So then the club wouldn't have a fans vote. It was a group set up called Whose View. I was part of that. There was about 10 of us. We actually had a face-to-face meeting with Brady, and it was so cringe-worthy, the meeting, you know, and they weren't going to ask the fans. So we paid for it ourselves, and we set up voting stations around the ground. We got more than 10% of the match day attending fans to vote, and we had over, I think it was 60%, I think, or 70% voted to stay.
Tell me,
Thing is,
you mentioned Everton, so we know there's already fans, Everton fans, that they're already split, and they've got a fit for purpose stadium. But there's a lot of traditional fans that are going, it's not going to be Goodison. I don't know if I'm going to like it. And there's a lot of fans that are going, it's great, we're moving forward, because it is a stadium fit for purpose. If this stadium was actually fit for purpose, that surely people would have accepted the move much more, wouldn't they? They would, by now, 10 years on, we would have gone, it ain't home, but it's as close to as damn it.
The problem with that stadium is the size of it to the capacity. It's actually bigger than Wembley Stadium with 30,000 less people.
Mm-hmm.
And this is, you know, these were the arguments I was having. You know, it's easy to forget our, you know, we had 54,000 to start with. The reason for that was West Ham's own figures. They believed they could get 50,000. That's it. I've still got my notebook from 2011. That's in the first meeting. They said, we expect to be able to achieve 50,000 fans per game. They never thought they would sell 60 odd thousand. But, you know, we could go on forever. How did they achieve it? Simple. When we went into that, it was a sales room. Now, they set up a sales room to sell season tickets to season ticket. You didn't need salespeople to do it. You needed us to come down, say, well, you block one, you know, or they should have done it block by block. But no, they brought in the plus twos because they were so desperate to sell the seats. And then what they turned a blind eye was to the salespeople saying, get a kid's seat. It's only 100 quid, isn't it? What's 100 quid? Mm-hmm. You know, and then upgrade it, or if you can't get in, you can just upgrade it for like a couple of quid, and you take your mate in with you if he wants to come and sit with you. So what they ended up with was 10,000 child seats in those first seasons.
And that is where they've
by that tactic.
And they realised 10 years down the line they made a mistake there, didn't they?
Yeah, and this is it. You know, the funny thing is that in that video she talks about the cheapest, and it is the cheapest season ticket.
But yeah, it is for the cheapest season tickets. Right. It is. But when you compare the most expensive ones, they're not far off any other Premier League.
Yeah, and you know, there's probably 200-300 of those seats. But here's the thing: when we moved into that stadium, we only had 5 bands. At Upton Park, we had 4. Yeah, they created a band 5 because obviously, you know, 1/3 of the seats, or more, are actually outside of the boundary of Upton Park. So in fact, that's more than that. The whole of the upper tier, every seat in the upper tier would not be in Upton Park. Yeah. So every seat in Upton Park. Now, there's only 19,000 seats in the lower tier. Maybe 20,000 when they've rejigged it. So it's around 19,000, 20,000. So that means there's 40-odd thousand people sitting outside of Upton Park. That's why you have to have a band 5. Band 6 was created. Do you know why they created that? Because Man City did a cheaper season ticket when they redeveloped their ground.
So they didn't have that title anymore.
And what happened is, if you remember when we first moved in, the furthest seats were screened off. So there's
Yeah, they were
66,000
right,
seats
all
in
at the
there.
back. Yeah, they were all. Yeah,
54,000. They were screened off.
yeah.
Now they've started using those seats. What West Ham realised is they could use any seat they wanted. Yeah, as long as there was only the capacity. So they got the capacity raised up to 62,000. So they can use any of those 62,000 seats, any of them. But they're only allowed to sell 62,000. It's total nonsensical in reality. So what they did was uncovered some of the back rows behind the screens, the very back rows that hadn't been used. So we're talking the back 4 rows, and made them band 6 purely to have a cheaper season ticket than Man City, so they could keep that tag.
It's all smoke and mirrors, isn't it?
It's marketing bollocks, in my
I
opinion.
can see we've got Sean in the chat tonight,
Course
and he's
he
put out some comments.
I
but
bet he's spouting like shit, isn't he?
Of course he is,
Yeah.
and he did say that it's a very biased show tonight because we're both Brady haters. Well, I'll correct you there, Sean.
Yeah.
You know, the one thing about Brady I've always said is that she's a good businesswoman. She knows how to do business, but does she know how to run a traditional football club? I doubt it. You know, so I'll praise her for the business acumen. That doesn't necessarily mean it's a well-run club on the footballing side of things. As a business, it's well run. As a football club, we've seen the errors that they've made over the years, and they seem to continuously make the errors. And we'll come to those in a minute because we're going to talk about Potter and all that and what's going on. But you know, she also went on and talked about. She went on and talked about how people have got to suck it up. Changes change, but the thing that really got me, and again, I put in my video, is when she started talking about we had to move in order to progress. We were in Europe when we were at the bowling. I call it Upton Park. We won a European trophy when we were at Upton Park. We got relegated when we were at Upton Park, and we've been you probably correct me if I'm wrong. We've probably been struggling as much as we've been in Europe since we've been in the new stadium. So we didn't have to move to get into Europe. We didn't have to move to go and get bloody fight relegation. We had all that at Upton Park, you know. And so the fact that Brady has gone, well, we needed a different business. Well, I get it. They've cut their operating costs because we didn't have a stadium to run anymore. We're tenants, so you're cutting your costs back right to the bone. Of course, you can offer cheaper season tickets when you've got that, when your overheads aren't that much. But the whole thing about moving to a new stadium to progress, you know, we're still waiting for Champions League football. We're never going to get that, you know. And when I think about could we have made Europe, the Europa League and the Europa Conference League, if we'd stayed at Upton Park, I'd say we probably could. So I'm trying to understand what progress has been made apart from the bank balance. Can you work it out?
Well,
the reason why we moved?
The only thing that's really gone up is the share price.
Well, exactly that. Yeah.
You know,
so business-wise,
the club has had a great deal.
Yeah.
On the pitch. Now, people at the club will go, do you know what? I do once a month. There's a group that meets in on church, Vintage Hammers, talk about the old days, and we get ex-players, and Anton Ferdinand was there February, and Anton, as we know, is a club ambassador. And to be fair, he came across really well, but he said something that after I felt obliged to go up and go, nah, not having that. Where he said, without that stadium, we wouldn't have won the Conference League.
Bollocks.
Now, I told him why I didn't. But now the thing about the Conference League is the Conference League wasn't next level. Winning that trophy, because of the trophy it was historic. It wasn't next level. And the reason for that is that the qualifying for that tournament was finishing 7th. That was something that we had done and above at Upton Park. So if you look at what we've achieved in London Stadium. The only thing realistically that we've achieved there that we'd never achieved at Upton Park was 3 years of European football in a row. That's it. At Upton Park, on 2 occasions, we'd had 3 top 10 finishes in a row. Now, and this is where, you know, people accuse me of talking West Ham down, but, you know, when I say we're not a big club, but this is the thing. A big club would finish top 10 more regularly. Only twice in our history have we finished 3 years in a row in the top 10. Once under John Lowell, where I believe we finished 9th twice and 7th. And then under Harry Redknapp, where we did 8th, 9th and 5th. That's it. Twice in our history, 3 years. You know, that's not big club, isn't it? That's not big club.
No.
That's
a club
poor.
that has a bit of success every now and again.
Yeah.
And I know people don't like hearing that.
No.
But it is fact. That's our history. You know,
nothing
and that
surprises me now with the
again?
fan base, with the anger of the fan base, and the reason why I sort of don't join in much with the bashing and the criticism at times is because, you know, one, it's no surprise to me, but one thing I did warn the people is the worst thing they could do was take West Ham into that stadium and stay as West Ham. And
well, it ain't West Ham, is it? It's West Ham London.
No, but what I meant by that is we are the great underachievers.
Yeah.
You know, everybody hangs their hat on this Forbes, you know, club value. And West Ham, when you look at it, is the biggest club in that table to have never won a league title. Every other club in that top 20 has won league titles in the country they play in. And the best we've got is 3rd. You know, that's not big club. That ain't why, you know, I don't know, you know, that ain't why. For me, I don't see idea, that's why West Ham people support.
Hang on, mate. People, I don't mind comments, but please do tone it down a little bit. There's a comment I just put up, which I regret putting up a second ago. I don't mind people having a go, etc., etc. There's a lot of people that don't like Brady, but you got to tone the some of the wording down, please. I won't say who it was, but I don't want to ban you or anything. Sorry, mate. But that's what you mean about, you know, when she says about going into this stadium and getting next level and all that sort of stuff. When we haven't got it, have we? This is it. And as you've said, and I get, I don't get why people have a go at you because people say you put the club down. You don't put the club down. You're just looking at the history of the club, and the history of the club tells us we've had success every now and again. Every 10 years or 5 years we'd win a cup and stuff like that, you know, and then we do well in the league.
How about this? If you look at all right, Conference League aside, yeah, the recent European trophy. If you look at all of West Ham's best achievements, yeah, they came in a 20-year period. That's it. They came between 22 year between 1964 and 1986. In 1964, we won our first trophy. In 1986, we had our highest league position, highest goals scored in a season, highest most amount of points, you know, in top flight, I will add, top flight. So after that's it. So when you listed West Ham's honours, everything fell between 64 and 86. You know, that ain't, when you look at Arsenal, there's only one decade in nearly 100 years they never won a trophy. So tomorrow, when we're all there, look around at the honours boards, You know, they don't just have 4 on one side. It goes all the way around the
All the way
stadium. You
around.
know,
Yeah.
as I sing to my Arsenal mates, though, we'll be singing, "Don't worry, where's your 1980?" But I think it's like, I don't know if it's either the 40s or the 50s. Arsenal never won a trophy, but every other decade since the 1930s, they have.
Something. Yeah.
You know, it's.
And I guess, Nigel, it's like, if we really are meant to have gone to the next level, yeah, okay, it was great that we won the Europa League, but like I said, I think we could have won that even if we'd
Of
stayed
course, we
at the
could have done.
bowling. And but what you want, the one thing that we've perpetually not done, I mean, it's you're right about that 20 odd year period, but the one thing as a club that we've perpetually not done is we've not used that as a springboard, the success as a springboard to win other things. The only time we won 2 things in a row was 64-65 season, the FA Cup
Yeah,
and the Cup Winners' Cup.
yeah.
And then everything else has been a cup win and then 5 years and then a cup win and then relegation and then something
Yeah.
out, and I guess what we're expecting was, and I think the bigger disappointment, again, especially the way things have gone with the whole Moyes issue, is we kind of hoped, would we be forgiving of everything that's happened had we built on the success of the Europa Conference League? If we were still in Europe now and
But
we were
that's the
still
thing.
competing in Europe and so on, would we even be having these conversations about?
No.
I mean, it's a bit fickle, isn't it, in a way? But we wouldn't be having the conversations because then the club could argue, by moving to the stadium, we built on the success, but we're not building on the success, are we?
No, but we've never. But it's difficult because under this ownership, yeah, and in a way, this may sound mad. In a way, when they say they will only spend the money the club generates, I think that's how all football clubs should be. I don't believe in these sugar daddy benefactors being able to pump 400-500 million pounds into these super states now. I mean, it's got to the situation now where we've got billionaire owners and they can't afford to compete financially with the clubs at the top because their billionaires have got more billions.
Yeah.
And so what's happened is that English football has sold itself down the river.
Yeah.
And look, they call us now legacy fans, isn't it? It's not. I'm not knocking the people. I don't want people, because there'll be people from all around the world watching this or whatever. I'm not having a dig at you, but a lot of people my age do feel bitter about the way that English football has sold us out. We are the lowest thought of when it comes to football. The fan that's been there 20, 30, 40, 50 years. Yeah, we are thought of the least. They would, but why is that? Well, the reason for that is because all West Ham get out of me is my season ticket money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now, if you buy 3 match day tickets or 4 match day tickets in band 2, you've spent more money than I have in going all season. Let alone you've probably popped into the shop and bought yourself a scarf or bought your kits, and West Ham don't get anything like that out of me anymore. I even get the programs out of a charity shop.
Yeah, see, I've given up. See, even I've given up buying stuff, and because I've kind of, it's gotten to the point where you know where Brady's gone with this. When she talked about about fans moving on and all that sort of stuff. She even talked about the atmosphere, the irony of talking about the atmosphere, etc. But when I was listening to what she was saying, it was evident to me that, and people have alluded to it, and I also said it in the show I did, that she wasn't talking to us,
No.
the legacy fans. that message wasn't going out to the traditional fans who have been there for donkey's years. And I make you right, because we've got I've got people, and people from abroad who are West Ham fans, who they may support their local teams, like we've got mates from Holland, from Netherlands, who support Utrecht and all that sort of stuff. But they're West Ham, they're West Ham fans as well. They've been coming for years.
And the funny thing about it, so if you look at my two friends from the States, John and Dave, get friendly with them, you think, oh, here we go, the Green Street boys are here. My mate will tell you, I used to get pissed off with the Americans standing on the corner of Green Street, because it was a narrow pavement, and they used to stand opposite the bowling and take photographs of the bowling pub with the Green Street sign. And one day we walked along and you couldn't get through, and I literally went, can you lot fuck off, because the locals want to come through? And they parted my mate, one day you're going to get a cum. I said, all these fucking people get on my nerves, tourists. That was Upton Park.
And that was Upton Park. I'm surprised you keep a straight face.
Well, anyway, so then I get friendly with two Americans, and and you hear the story. But here's the thing: they started supporting West Ham 1991. What? And they didn't have it on TV in America then. They had to listen to it on radio. And you think, well, then there's a bit of admiration. I've got, EB, in Germany.
Yeah.
No, this is a bloke who started watching West Ham before I did.
Yeah.
In the 1970s.
And he's very well versed as well. Very knowledgeable.
So,
and he's still got the season ticket. Bobby Moore lower. Yeah.
So, it's. I don't know. If you look at the way the club go as well, this season the club have reached out to near enough every fan base. Make yourself official, register with the club website.
Yeah.
Draw them in. And what that does is this data harvesting by the club. They want to be able to get them in, entice them, come over, watch a game, because they know they'll flog them. They'll flog them the £100 ticket. Why is there a push on the club this season more than any? Every game, texts and emails. Don't forget, sell your ticket back to the club. Don't forget, sell your ticket back to the club. It's constant. Every game now, because they know if I sell my ticket back to the club, they give me 18 quid. Yeah. Some games less. Yeah, I know they'll sell that ticket. Band 5 for 60 quid.
Yep.
And,
And they've been testing this out for quite a number of years under our very noses. They've been quietly testing this out, where they say to you, "Yeah, we'll give you a few quid, at least you don't lose out."
Yeah.
And then I used to do that because I've still got my daughter's season ticket. She never goes anymore, and I used to do that in the early days, and I'd see all these different people standing next to me, and then it dawned on me, actually, you know what? I've just, like you've just said, I've just got 20 quid back, 25 quid back for the ticket. God knows what that person standing next to me has bought it for, because they've sold it for full price, well above the average rate of a season ticket when you divide 19 home games by the season ticket price. And they've been calculating this for some time, hence the whole thing about concession tickets moving up. And I actually said in the show as well, if they succeed in moving concession tickets up to the higher tiers, they won't have that tag of the cheapest season ticket anymore, because it will be filled with concession. They won't, and they actually won't need to bother selling a 300.
But here's the thing: when we first went into that stadium, generally 90% of the people there were the West Ham fans.
Yeah.
But what's happened is that there's a big, if social media is to be believed, there's probably I don't know. Of the season ticket holders at Upton Park, if the numbers are to believe, you're looking at a 50% fall off. So 50%. So the last season at Upton Park, we only had 26,000 season ticket holders. We've got 48,000 now, but 50% of those of the Upton Park season ticket holders are no longer there.
Well, apparently, according to Sean, 29,000 of the original 50,000 season tickets that were sold at the state in the first season, 29,000 have not been renewed. So you've had,
I don't believe that, because what that could be, see, what he's gone is he's looked at these figures, these renewal rates, the 5% and whatever, and that sounds like 29,000 individual people. What you might have is people that weren't season ticket holders at Upton Park, bought at the London Stadium, realised it was a load of shite, and they didn't renew. And then the person that replaced them went, yeah, we don't like it, so we ain't going to go. Now, the thing about the 27,000 season ticket holders at Upton Park, which was only last season, generally we used to have 21,000 season ticket holders at Upton Park. That was generally. The thing about going football is it's habit forming. Why do I still go? Because I've done it since I was 6, 7 years old, constantly. So it's what I've done. I don't like going to Stratford, but what am I going to do? So I go. Those that hadn't gone regularly bought into the dream and everything, and then when they get over there, realise it's a pile of shit. They'll go as well. They'll walk away. And this is why, though, there's more and more tourists, because they're the only ones that are fucking buying the tickets now. One, because of the prices. Two, because a lot of West Ham fans feel so negative about that stadium and going to the game. Look at Canning Town then. He started a blog about not going to the game.
Yeah, I've been reading his blogs,
and they're fantastic. And there's a bit of me that actually wishes I could stop. Believe me, that's the truth. I wish I could stop, because I don't really enjoy it as much now as I've ever done. And the fact that 9 years in, perhaps I'm worn out by the stadium move, the supporters club fucking debacle, and if I always say, if anything ever mirrors the stadium move, it's the way the supporters club has dealt with itself since the move as well. And the supporters club is in a rented fucking foyer, which in my opinion is not fit for purpose, which is quite funny, really, because we play in a football stadium that's rented and it ain't fit for purpose.
We went there after the game on Saturday.
Yeah.
And I really want to support it. I did from the day we moved to the new area, but it is difficult. And no disrespect to Andy and all the others who do the hard work, etc. But it is difficult. It is a it's the irony is that the place next to it that used to be the supporters club, I can't remember, is absolutely rocking next door. But I don't want to go there.
No.
For other reasons. And it's such a shame, because when that that the place across the river, across the canal, where we were, it's still open.
Yeah, I know. I've often thought about going. It's funny because obviously we sort of got the more than just a podcast social club, but I've only gone once. And that's that meets before games at the Ledger building.
Where's that?
Well, the Ledger building is there. For those that don't know, call it Canary Wharf. For those that do, call it West India Quay. And I just look at it and think, this is fucking Millwall. Yeah. Is this what it's come to now? We're drinking in Millwall, or a stone's throw, literally It is literally a stone's throw from Morton's canning factory, where the workers came out of that formed Millwall Football Club. It is literally a stone's throw, and you think, this is what we've come to now. West Ham fans drinking in Millwall before we go to Stratford to watch a game of football. It's a nice place to drink, but it didn't. Recently, last few games, I've just gone to the game, got there for like 2:30.
Yeah,
stop the build-up stuff now.
Yeah, we go. Sometimes we'll go to the Premier Inn. If I can be bothered to do the walk, we'll go to the Grove. But that's a walk,
That's
isn't
the
that
thing.
a shame? 10 years down the line, that you see. Yeah, I know there are a lot of places to go, but people aren't going. We've got to go to X place.
Yeah,
we've got to go to so and so place because that's where it's all happening. We're all kind of dispersed. Where, all right, maybe Upton Park. The pubs were. Oh, there's quite a selection of them, weren't there? But it just feels like everyone's kind of dispersed, very much like the way the seating was set up when we first sold our seats.
People don't really, because like Stratford is sort of grown. Yeah, Stratford as a kid for me was the old shopping centre and the bit outside and the town hall and the courts for other reasons. But that was Stratford to me. Stratford's now expanded and grown with Westfields and everything else. So the thing about, if you look at where the Grove is, now it's possibly the nearest Wetherspoons pub, to the football ground.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you come out and you want to walk to the stadium, that would be like drinking in Canning Town and walking to Upton Park.
Yeah.
Now, not many people done that. They would do it after the game, but that's because they were walking home and then going in a pub. Before the game, they would drink nearer in the Green Gate, in the Castle, the Albert, the Prince of Wales, the Stanley. They trip up the Tongue, the Queen's, the Boleyn, the Central, the Wakefield.
What about Brady's comment about you make your own atmosphere?
Funny enough, right, this is my thing. There was a couple of things I did agree with in what she said. And she's sort of right. I think she's wrong in a way and right in a way. She was right in that fans make the atmosphere.
Yeah.
And she's wrong in a way when she just goes, stadiums don't make atmosphere.
Yeah.
Because so compact stadiums make better atmospheres.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you go possibly most atmospheric ground in the Premier League at the moment, Nottingham Forest.
Nottingham Forest.
Yeah.
Probably hands down. Yeah.
Even before they were winning. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Why is that? It's what we would call a traditional English football ground or European football ground in the I don't know, because a lot of Europeans, whatever. I'll go English football ground, British football ground. 4 separate sides, easily definable. So the one thing about the London Stadium is you can't tell me when the Bobby Moore start ends and the Billy Bonds start. What block is it? Where you can't. Where Forest, that's the Clough stand, that's the Taylor stand, that's the Trent end, that's the other end. Yeah. And it's compact, and it was built in the old traditional way, where the upper tiers were built slightly over the lower tiers, so it brought the upper tiers forward. Everton Stadium, funny enough, if you look, they've gone for the sort of continuous sweep.
Yeah.
But at least it's joined. Now, one thing I've always said about the London Stadium, which they've never tried, and they would never have the bollocks to do it. It's quite funny. So if you look, people will show you videos of Hertha Berlin at the Munich. Stupid, isn't it? Berlin in Munich, of course it ain't. at the Berlin Olympic Stadium, 90,000. They get 60, 70,000 in there, cracking atmosphere. Why is that? Single tier, all the same level. You're all joined. There's no detach. And the main thing with the stadium, the London Stadium for me is, and this is may be contentious. I think the atmosphere would be improved if they pushed the lower tier back, so we were all joined.
Oh, and
No
even
gaps.
further away from the ground.
Well, you know,
when you think about it, you look at is it Milan, is it or Roma that play in an Olympic
yeah,
stadium?
Roma and Lazio playing
They play in the Olympiaco, Olympiada, and that is further back.
Yeah, of course
That's still got the running track.
Yes, yeah.
But the atmosphere is crack. So yeah, I'll make you right. I mean, I think for me, what the way they've dulled the atmosphere, I agree with you. I was torn there because there's a lot of fans saying the stadium ain't fit for purpose and that's why the atmosphere is shit. And I'm a little bit like, well, hang on. I've been there when I've seen that place absolutely rocking, and one of the first games was the FA Cup, was the cup game. Was it FA Cup
Chelsea,
or
League Cup
against Chelsea? League Cup against Chelsea when beaten 2-1. That was one of the early stages of hearing that stadium absolutely like full on. And then, of course, the Europa League games and all that sort of stuff. So we know it can be done. But I think what they've done over the past few years, and I know we don't have control over the stadium, but at least they can show some willing to have proper dialogue with the owners to say, let's find a way, let's bring the wall down against the away fans and the home fans. Put mesh up, just like European clubs do, rather than have a wall. Why don't we try and look at, even the thing I was thinking, looking at a way of bringing us closer to the touchline and trying to fill those holes. But maybe your point is better. You move it further back so there's less of a gap. But shouldn't they be having these sorts of dialogues and winning the fans over by doing that?
Well, they have had dialogue, haven't they? They've had an atmosphere. They got Russ Abbott in and had an atmosphere meeting. Yeah.
Is this the one where they're going to give us flags and the Bobby Moore lower?
Well, well, the Sheldons have realised, that the flags are too big to wave about. So actually, you're all right still. You ain't got to wave a flag in the Bobby Moore lower. Not the big ones that the club have got, that the club were going to give them anyway. Fun with flags, people. Coming soon to a YouTube channel near you. So anyway, sometimes my mouth just gets you right in front of me, I tell you. It's one of the things where, even as I'm saying it, I'm saying, shut up, Nige.
Oh, you shouldn't say that.
Yeah, fucking hell, you're going to start them off again. You fucking dullard. Anyway. Did you see what they came out with today?
No.
Right, so this is the thing. So they were going to be given the flags that were waved around by the side of the pitch that died a death. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was that was a sop to the real West Ham fans group, try and not stop the marches or whatever, or in response to the marches. So we had the 15 flags, the old club badges. The club offered that to the Sheldons, the IWA.
Yeah,
and said, you can wave these, and we're going to wave them. Great, we're going to wave them in the Bobby Moore lower. Yeah. Well, now
I deliberately did not respond.
Well, today they've actually admitted, because it was supposed to happen v Brentford and it didn't. But today they've come out and said, we can't do it because they're too big. He said, and we don't think waving them by the side of the pitch, this is the bit, adds to the atmosphere. So they don't think waving flags by the side of the pitch adds to the atmosphere, but move them back 20 yards into a stand, fucking atmosphere. I can't believe they came out and said that.
I can't believe that the IWA fell for it.
Well, I just thought whoever runs their Twitter account really needs to think seriously of what they're putting out. I know a lot of people who think they are an absolute joke of an organisation.
Well, that's partly why I'm trying to get them.
But that could be an age thing still. Because
it could be, mate.
All the people I know that think like that are my age, and we just look at it. And this is the thing, why do we tell Chelsea to stick the blue flag up their arse? Yeah, You know, Chelsea were one of the first clubs to have fucking soppy flags waved about. I remember taking the piss out of a Chelsea mate and go, you can sit in your stand and wave your little blue flag. Whoa, look, we won a trophy. You know, we don't fucking do that at West Ham.
And now we're about to.
Well, but now, and in defence of the IWA, how have we got to this situation? Because we have got the worst stadium atmospherically.
Let me put this right, because if anyone from the IWA is watching, I don't want you to think that I'm totally against of everything. I absolutely respect. Don't.
I absolutely respect. Beep 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 beep.
I absolutely respect what they're trying to do. Do I think they're doing it in the right way? No. But I absolutely respect that they're trying to do something.
I thought they were coming together to improve the atmosphere, improve the singing, the chanting. There was one game I remember thinking, fuck me, them boys are really trying hard in that corner to get the songs going and everything else. And I thought, that's what they need to concentrate. And then they came up with this TIFO. And it was embarrassing. And for me, it was embarrassing. And let's point it out, yeah. If you go on their Twitter page, they've got a picture of the TIFO, but it's been doctored. Because when the TIFO was held up, it said 1695. Yeah? Because there was one bit of the 8 that weren't held up. You go on their Twitter feed, they've coloured that bit in white. So it says 1895. That's how, you know, you think that's
we accuse the club of doing things cheap.
Yeah, you know, you think, come on, people. You know, and why have you got to have an NDA, yeah, for an atmosphere meeting? What are you talking about?
Fucking atmosphere meeting.
There
are more important things to be talking about.
Look, I signed an NDA on the SAB. I've got a lot of grief for it from all sides, yeah, even from fellow members of the supporters board. So I had people criticising me. You shouldn't have walked in the meeting and signed an NDA. Now, what the NDA was for was the club were going to tell us confidential financials. So it was only the financial information in that meeting I was forbidden to repeat. So I signed the NDA. Others didn't read the paperwork, signed the NDA, said nothing. I wrote about it in Overland and Sea, and I know members of the Supporters Advisory Board contacted the club, accusing me of breaking the NDA, and one of, or more than one, thought I should have been thrown off the Supporters Advisory Board. Now, the thing is, the club had read what I'd wrote, and they knew I hadn't broken the NDA because the NDA only covered the financials. But this is the thing, people heard this word non-disclosure, and the people signing it got frightened of what it was, so they said nothing. Instead of reading what it said, you couldn't and could say. Now, this NDA, you know, they've signed NDAs in the atmosphere, but we know what happened because, you know, someone, not at the club, funny enough, someone at the meeting sent it out. It's hilarious. And people were running around blaming the club for leaking the information when actually it was a fan that was at the meeting.
About atmosphere, I mean, I've made a suggestion. I don't know if people will enjoy it or if it will go down well or not. But we used to have a family zone in Upton Park, didn't we? What have you read?
No, I was just reading the thing. Say that again. Sorry.
We used to have a family zone at Upton Park, didn't we?
Yeah, I sat in the family. I sat at Trevor Brook in Upper was the family. The funny thing is, when we moved into the London Stadium, one of the things we said was, "Where's the family area going to be?" And they said the whole stadium, and this was the answer: the whole stadium is family friendly. One thing Karren Brady also said was about when pulled up about the stadium and the history of the club and everything. He said, we're not looking backwards, we're only looking forwards.
Should they This ain't the controversial bit about reintroducing a family zone, but should they reintroduce one? And this is the controversial bit: should they introduce a neutral zone?
No and
When
no.
I say neutral zone, it'll be the bit that
Yeah,
the
no.
tourist fans can go into. They have that in Europe, though. They have
Look,
neutral zones in
yeah,
Europe.
well, no and no. I don't not. You know, I don't get neutral zones, and here's the thing: the time you sort all this out is before you sell the tickets.
Yeah, yeah.
Now,
Which they messed up on.
now we know they've messed up on. Now you get the IWA. They want to have a section, yeah, but the only way that works if they can all be together.
Yeah,
Now I'm guessing that their membership is spread across the four corners of the stadium. Yeah,
possibly.
so they
Because they're
need to be
talking about the Bobby Moore low, which
yeah,
I'm in.
right. So
And I
what?
know that and Chav Corner, where Sean sings his heart
Yeah,
out,
yeah.
taking selfies, are mainly, and I don't mean disrespectfully to the rest of the stadium, but mainly that's where the songs are generated.
Yeah,
That's where it starts. Yeah. So you don't think a neutral zone would
no, I
would
don't.
work?
But no, I don't think a neutral zone work. But what? And this is the thing I was saying is, you to get them all together, you're gonna have to move people out of the way. Now
Yeah.
those people might go, I ain't fucking moving. What are you gonna do? Force them? And that's
Well,
the
they are
same.
forcing
You create a
concessions.
neutral. You create a neutral zone. Who are you going to shift out? Where are you going to put them? You know,
You're right. They should have done that when they were
it's
selling
once,
the tickets.
yeah.
In the first place.
Once
Yeah.
you either need to start again, which is chaos, or it has to evolve itself naturally. It might take them 4 or 5 years. Perhaps what they need to do now, this is the way it works, is that they, and whether they've done it, is that they need to go to the club. The club would have to agree, we're happy to have you here. Every time someone wants to give up a season ticket, gets offered to them. But here's the thing. They would have to be an existing season ticket holder and moving, but the club stop people moving down a band.
Yeah.
So what if someone in the IWA wants to move over to there and sing his songs? He's in band 2, but that's a band 3. Are you going to allow him to move down? Because if you do that, then you've got to allow the bloke that sits in band 3 to move into band 5 because he can't afford it anymore. But the club don't allow it, do they? You can't you can't pick and choose how it works. And this is the thing that the IWA miss as well with negotiating. Aside from the concessions thing, where I don't believe, but I've said this from day one, from the start of the season, no one should talk to the club apart from concessions. If every fan base went, we're not discussing anything with you apart from
getting
concessions,
that first,
yeah, you would embarrass them.
Yeah.
Yeah. If every fan group stuck together.
I agree. I do agree with that. And again, I've seen someone that's asked about, instead of putting the IWA down, what ideas do you have? But it isn't about, please don't get it. This isn't an IWA bashing sort of like thing. There is, I think the most important issue at this moment in time is concession tickets. And this is the other irony of the podcast, when Jack Sullivan must have put he gave us he gave us it on a platter, didn't he? When he talked about, Jack Sullivan talked about the pride and the emotion of the
grandkid and
and the grandkids with the dads, with the granddads, and all that sort of stuff. And the absolute massive irony of like, but this is what you seem to be trying to kill right now, because you're getting rid of concession tickets. And I make you right. I think this is the biggest battle that we've got to fight at this moment in time. We've got to get that one over the line, and then we can start talking about other things. I'm not disputing that the atmosphere is not an important issue. Of course, it's important. It's a very important issue. But the biggest danger to West Ham fans at this moment in time is concession tickets. And this is another thing about the whole Brady interview, where I said earlier on, she wasn't talking to us. She wasn't talking about us as traditional fans. She's talking about the the people that want to have I call them the fans of the Premier League rather
Yeah.
than West Ham fans. You know,
Well,
those who want
I
to
don't
have.
think she was talking to them. You know, I think
Who
she
is she
done the
talking to?
interview. I said
Go
this
on.
to Sean tonight. I'll tell you why I think she did the interview.
Go
I
on.
think it was all to do with the governance bill. I think it was because she spent quite a bit of time outlining her position on the objections of having the regulator.
Yeah.
So I think that was the thing she wanted. She wanted to get out of it was the regulator stuff. So and that ain't talking to us. You know, she is a politician. Remember that, yeah.
Yeah.
Her big fight at the moment is against this regulator. Now, she's a conservative, whatever she is, lady. I wouldn't call her that, but anyway, baroness, whatever she is. You know, I think the Conservatives are going cold now on backing the regulator. I think Reform, funny enough, they're 3 or 5, whatever they've got, have said they're not in favour of the regulator. The funny thing about it is, I'm not in favour of the regulator.
Okay.
And the reason is, football is a business. I don't know how you tell a business what it can do and can't do. Funny enough, the rules. What she said is quite true. You know, they've got rules set by the FA, rules set by the Premier League, rules set by UEFA, rules set by FIFA. What is the regulator really going to do? And let's hold up. Yeah, we've got a water regulator in this country. We've got gas and electric utilities regulator in this country. We've got education regulator, and we've now got some of the worst schools in Europe. We pay the most expensive bills for gas, electric, and our water is in such a state because it's been sucked dry by the share. Thames Water has been sucked dry by the shareholders. It looks like the government might have to bail them out, although it looks like they're still trying to find another buyer because they're 15 billion in debt, and the only way that they can recover that money is by putting it on the bills, because the shareholders ain't going to pay the 15 billion back. So with a regulator, that's happened. You tell me what the football regulators, is going to do, because it's got to be paid for as well. She's right. The football regulator has got to be paid for, and it will come out of money. And at the end of the day, that means either your TV money is going to go up, or your ticket price. Well, we can see the ticket price.
It'll hit the fans. It'll hit the fans.
So let's have a bit of sense about it. What needs toughening up is the Premier League rules, not a regulator.
So in that respect, I mean, doesn't this new bill though talk about more protection for fans, or am I wrong?
But
isn't that the difference between?
Rises, can you?
You what?
You can't stop. A regulator cannot stop price rises.
Okay.
What's he going to protect? In all seriousness, what is he going to protect? You know, we want to take the castle off the badge, but we want to revert to cross irons. Well, you can't do that. Well, we used to have cross irons 50 years ago. Oh yeah, that's all right then. We want to put London on the badge. Oh, you can't do that. Why not? We're in London. Oh yeah, that's a good point. All right. Yeah. What's the regulator going to do?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know enough about it to be able to comment. So, I mean, I'm if that's the message she wanted to put out, what was the point of saying all the other stuff though that she must have known was going to wind up?
No, yeah, it's a general. It's probably a favourite to Jack. You know, that's the only one I've ever watched. You know, I paid no attention. There's nothing. You know, all you ever is. He's such a lovely boy, Jack, and he probably is a lovely boy. Yeah, but he says nothing to me that I want to listen to.
Well, he's going to be our future owner, so we might have to start listening to him.
Well, no use to laugh about that. But the funny thing about it is the one thing that Gold and Sullivan said when they bought the club is that which I actually believed was that they're not here to buy it and then to sell it. You know, they want their kids they want a legacy.
What
The
would you
funny
think will
thing
happen
is,
under the ownership of Jack?
well, look, it won't. Nothing. This is the thing, yeah. If it continues the way it is, and the only way to achieve what a lot of the fans want, which is Champions League football, trophies, or anything, is to have an owner like Man City, like Liverpool have got, them clubs. Because, I mean, let's face it, let's look at Man United. Yeah.
Oh yeah, their owners have shafted the club left, right, and
Well,
centre.
here's a funny thing. Yeah. They've got worse since the Glazers have took a step back and Ineos have turned up.
Well, that's a good point as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So for years under the Glazers took money out of the club. Yeah. Which you could argue now they could well do with. Yeah. But while the Glazers were taking money out of the club and used Man United's money to buy the club, that's what the big problem was. They put debt onto a club that never had debt to buy it. So they weren't their own money and they sucked it out 100 million a year or whatever. But they were still winning trophies, weren't they? Fergie never walked out on them when the Glazers turned up, did he? He was more than happy to work with them and take their shilling.
Yeah.
Now, funny enough, it's Ineos that have turned up. Ratcliffe, the Man United fan, and what's he do? Fergie, mate, yeah. You can lose your job and your wages. You can keep your box. That's all you've got. So you don't know what type of ownership you're going to get. This is not an advert for keeping Golden.
No, well, this is it. The question I was about to ask you was, do you want them to sell the club?
Do I want?
Will we?
Do I want them
we
gone?
don't know what we'll get though,
yes.
do we?
Do you know? Do I want them gone? Yes. David Brady, 100%. Sullivan. I've got to choose my words very carefully now because I think there's things in the past that maybe catch up with him, or you know, there's a lot of things there that realistically can't be discussed. That actually, when you look at it, you know, is he someone that you would want? And it's like the answer's no, and that not just for the way he runs the football club, but for the other things that he's done in his life.
I'm aware. Yeah.
So, so therefore, you know, if it was the Czech bloke running it, I've forgotten his name now. I just went to call him Kretinsky. You know, I'm not a fan of Kretinsky at all. You know, look what I don't know what he's doing to the post office. But then I'll blame the government because he should never have been allowed to buy that much of the post office. You know, but then who else is going to buy a Premier League football club? Who has got 600, 700, 800 million pound to buy West Ham United?
Unless there's a big consortium or it's a bunch of or the Saudis.
Yeah. The one thing, if I wished for one thing to come true, it would be for the Premier League bubble to burst and implode.
Or as far as West Ham's concerned, because they're so keen on selling, you know, your season ticket to the highest bidder. West Ham United at the moment, their business model is based on us staying as a Premier League club. If we got relegated, that business model starts to fall apart somewhat, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, as you heard us say that, you know, the parachute payments, there's arguments about are the parachute payments right and just. Yeah. So, but without the parachute payments, but and here's the thing about a Premier League club. I think West Ham employ nearly 900 people now. Now just think about that for a minute. They employ 900 people. But how many are directly involved in football?
Are you including the squads?
Are
you including the academy squad and and the under 21s and all that in that 900.
I think they count as employees. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So therefore,
let's
you've
say
got
100 footballers. Let's say 100 footballers. Well,
let's say two.
no, because
to be generous.
So under 15s ain't an employee. Yeah. So
Okay.
your employees would be kids that ain't at school. So I think that'd be your 18s and over.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's say you got, let's say you got 75 footballers on pro contracts, being junior contracts up to the top. Say you got 40 coaches. Yeah. What do the other 700 do?
I'm really shocked, actually.
Yeah.
That it is that number. I'm really shocked.
Yeah. Imagine that. The rumor I've heard is that in the media department alone, they're nudging 100 people.
Christ.
But here's the thing. On the socials, when they make these videos, how many people do you think you know, innit? How many people does it take to make them videos? When you look around the ground, you see these photographers and these video people filming the crowd and to make the socials and everything.
Surely you bring those people in on the day rather, you hire them rather than them.
Yeah, but they might still be on like an employee of the club, even like a temporary contract or whatever. Yeah. But my answer to that is, and it always been, is the first thing I would do if I owned West Ham, sack all the people in marketing. Fuck off. Yeah, because
you sound like Elon Musk.
Well, maybe, but do you know the best way to market a football club? Put a team that wins on the pitch.
Yeah.
You put a team that wins on the pitch, fans will come and watch you.
Yeah.
Actually, they'll pay more money to watch you when you're winning.
Yeah. True.
Marketing genius.
That's the best marketing you could promote.
That's it. I don't need a text. I don't need an email, and I don't need a full-page advert every night or once a week now in the Evening Standard.
Elon Khan.
Yeah. We spelt Khan wrong.
Should we move on from Brady?
Yeah, fucker. Yeah. There's only two good things about us still.
What I want to know.
Left and right. But anyway, I'll leave that to the imagination, people.
Graham Potter has been in charge now for
6 games.
6 games. Fans are getting what they want, aren't they? The football's more entertaining.
Is it?
Well, I think it is.
Is it?
I think it is. Absolutely, I think it is.
Why?
When I wasn't a Potter fan, when it was rumored that it was going to be Potter, I was like, oh, well, I just don't think it's going to be right, etc. I'm not going to lie to you. He's won me over. Now, when I say the football's better, I didn't say we're winning.
No. This is the thing. I'm curious because I want to hear because
the football, the style of football. I think apart from 2 games, as far as I'm concerned,
out of the 6.
Out of the 6.
All right.
The game against
so
Crystal
1/3 of games have been shit. Yeah.
Yeah, but there's a reason for one of. There's a reason for one of them, which was the game against Crystal Palace when we played 3 games in 8 days, depleted squad and all that. They were knackered.
Oh, that's
okay.
Right. Yeah.
And then the Brentford game. First half of the Brentford game was terrible.
Yeah.
That aside, you were at Villa, I think, in the cup game, weren't you? I mean, come on. Did you expect that kind of display? I wasn't expecting it. The way we came out that night and played our football, and since then it's been
okay.
It's been more exciting. It's been more interesting.
Right.
But what we're not getting now is we were playing boring football and getting results. Now we're playing like a bit more progressive football and not getting results.
So
you're going to give me a load of facts now, aren't you?
Well,
a load of stats.
So the last 3 defeats that Lopetegui had were Leicester, Liverpool, and Man City.
Right.
Yeah. In the Leicester game, we got beat 3-1.
Uh-huh.
Both there. West Ham had more shots in that game than in any other Premier League game. 30 shots. Yeah. But we got beat.
Yeah.
But we attacked. We played really good football. Obviously, created a lot of chances that players didn't take.
Yeah.
Lopetegui's last game away at Man City, we had more shots in that game than our last 3 visits to Man City combined.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But we got beat 4-1. Though we had got beat in the other games as well. And he gets sacked. Against Brentford, I think it was 2 or 3 shots on target. Palace, I don't think there was any.
Yeah, Palace was awful. Yeah.
You know, against Fulham, his only win, if it weren't for Jay Leno in goal, maybe he should have stuck to talk shows. But, you know, there's a good shot. Well, I mean, the bad thing about the Fulham game was we gifted Fulham their 2 goals, and they gifted us our 3 goals.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Yeah. So Fulham dominated us in that game. For me, I'm not anti-Potter. I'm not, and I think he needs to be given. For me, I don't think really you can judge him until Christmas. Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, I don't think you can really sit down
until he's got at least half the squad.
Yeah, he's got to be able to mould the squad. So he's got what he's got now. We've brought in Ferguson. It can improve, but at this moment in time, I've not seen any improvement at all. In fact, I think we've gone backwards.
Seriously,
I mean, because Lopetegui, actually, the football was getting better. So after the Leicester defeat, we went 4 games unbeaten, where we drew 2, won 2.
Right.
Yeah. Lopetegui got sacked off the back of losing to Liverpool and Man City.
Yeah. Which we knew was always going to be an odd one if that was the case. Yeah.
I think Lopetegui actually got sacked mainly because of the. I think there's a lot of truths in the unrest within the squad, and the squad weren't happy.
Yeah.
And I think that's why Lopetegui had to go.
Yeah. Yeah. The disharmony.
I still think it's harsh, but you know, Potter's the man for me that should have been appointed in August.
Yeah. Do you think? I know this is going to sound weird, and a lot of people are going to say you must be crazy, even asking this. Do you think he was hard done by Lopetegui for getting sacked?
Yeah.
Do you?
I do.
Fans aren't going to like that though.
20 games. That's your lot. What can you judge? You know, when I looked at his record, I keep all the stats for all the managers.
Yeah.
So, and I've got this league table of West Ham managers. And I'm thinking, what do I do with Lopetegui? He ain't had a fair crack at. He ain't had he's had half a season. How do I say? How do I slot him into a league table?
But then, I mean, with the disharmony that was going on, I mean, which way was it going to go if he'd stayed on? You know, so many players were falling out with him. He would have ended up not having a team to select.
Well, this is the thing. Well, no, but the funny thing is that, you know, when he went 4 games unbeaten, apart from the usual suspects, there weren't a lot of, you know, he's got to be. I don't know. I think there still was. People weren't happy, but you know, he's had one window. He had to deal with Steiden. He had to deal with Sullivan. You know, who was buying what player? You know, how many players were actually his? You know, I keep this season. So Ferguson was the 11th new player to play for us this season. I'm pretty sure. I did check. I'm pretty sure that's the most ever in one Premier League season. So we've gone down the road of revolution of the squad, not evolution.
Yeah. And this has been our main problem for quite a number of years, though.
Yeah.
And I've said this several times where,
Part of
You
it is
know,
on Moyes and the way the club, the fact that he was so loyal to a bunch of players that he allowed them to age too far.
but I think it goes even further back than that. Where and you kind of alluded to it in the past as well, where we've never had evolution at West Ham.
No,
Well, certainly not in the last 7, 8, 9 years,
no, not since we
because you've
moved.
alluded to it. You're getting new
Yeah,
man. You we got Pellegrini in because the
he
owners
was
were
a winner.
triggered. Well, they were triggered, weren't they? Because of
Yeah,
all the protests.
yeah,
And they went, "Oh shit, we better appease the fans.
yeah.
We'll get a winner in." And then he came in, all right for the first season, screwed up halfway through the second season. Snap, we got to do something else. And then
Mm.
they got Moyes in, completely different style. And then he wanted his own players. And as you said, and then he relied too much on the same players, that he kept them on for too long. And then we got Lopetegui in. I mean, as much as people say he was the Spanish Moyes, he had a different style as well. And then a whole load of new players come in. Do you remember when Pellegrini was here? We were lauding the £100 million spend in the transfer window. We were going, "Oh, fantastic! £100 million we spent there," but we've done it again. And I don't know
Well, we
what.
did it the first season in the stadium under Bilic, and I think Bilic has
Well,
given
did
some
we?
candid interviews recently about the way that was done. You
But
know,
wasn't he given players
no,
like
this
left,
is the
right, and centre?
thing.
Right.
You know, if you look at the first season, so I mean, the last season at Upton Park is frankly the best season for me.
Yeah,
because we were on, you know, because we knew what it meant with the emotion. Maybe it was the emotion and everything.
we were playing well,
That
Nigel.
season,
Yeah, we
yeah,
played well, and I know it's all everyone's going to well, it's all because of Pyatt, but as a
yeah, as a
team,
team and
as a
everything else,
team,
you know, it
yeah,
was so fantastic,
yeah,
you know, and
and
then
this goes back to building on your success. We
yeah,
didn't
but
build on
then
that.
what did was they go out and they bought like Nordvik, Gokkentor, Zaz. You know, I think we brought in like 7 players.
Yeah, it was
We
scattergun.
didn't
It
need
was
7
scattergun.
players
Yeah,
to that team. And it sort of broke up what Bilic had in one go. You know, it was just, you know, and we've made that mistake 3 or 4 times. Stop putting
yeah.
him up still. I can't read because I ain't got my glasses on, but I can just see a blur in his name.
He's trying to take the piss, and
Yeah,
you
of
know.
course he is. Just ignore him. Fucking hell.
But yeah, no, but this has been the problem, isn't it? You know, there's been no consistency in the way we buy players, in the way, and wasn't this the whole reason why Steiden came in order to have some kind of construct in the way that we were bringing players in? I look,
Yeah.
I know you and I know, and Ebby has really helped me out on this.
Yeah, I bet he
with
is.
all the stuff that he sent me.
Yeah.
Fuck, you know. By the way, people, Ebby is a German. He's a West Ham fan from Germany. And when I started looking at Steiden, he was telling me, "Have a read of this. I'll send you this link. I'll send you this." And it was like eye-opening. And I know a lot of people go, "Oh, well, what did Steiden do wrong?" And every time I talked about Steiden, it wasn't about what was happening. It was about his history, which I didn't know anything about. And being the pearl finder and all that, he wasn't.
No.
He wasn't the instigator.
No.
He was just he was the glory boy, wasn't he?
Well,
he
was
the
clever.
partner.
Yeah,
He was
because
clever, yeah.
he was clever in self-promotion. Yeah,
Yeah,
we
very,
fell,
very
well,
clever.
the owners fell for it. Line this thing. Now, here's the thing. So, I did it on the podcast recently. Steiden's the 3rd time we've tried that mantra, and it's and so the first one was Jean-Luc Anani. And he came in under the Icelandics, and he was the one that bought Savio. So anyway, yeah. So that's
If
fantastic.
that wasn't a warning sign, I don't
So-
know what the hell
so-
was.
He bombed, yeah, and there was dodgy deals with, because it turned out, I don't know if his father-in-law owned Udinese, so there was some dodgy deals definitely going on or whatever.
Only at West Ham.
So he gets
Only at
elbowed.
West Ham.
Yeah, we don't do it again until Pellegrini comes in, and Pellegrini gets to bring Husilos in.
Yeah.
So we all think, well, that's a great idea, someone to work with the manager and everything else. But Husilos gets to bring his son in. Pellegrini gets to bring it. Well, everybody brings their sons in, don't they? Or brothers.
Or brothers,
it's quite a joke, realistically, at what's allowed. That fell apart, didn't it? I still think Pellegrini sacked off of one signing and one signing alone, and that's Roberto.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the bloke only played 10 games for West Ham. I don't think he won one.
I remember it.
That
was the season when Martin.
We had to get
third choice, and he played in goal in the game against Chelsea.
Yeah. So, I mean, you got. Funny enough, I think he only played 4 games for West Ham, Martin.
I don't even think was it?
Right, and he's an absolute hero, and Roberto played in 10.
Only if he played that Chelsea game and nothing else, he was.
Oh yeah, I did. Yeah, so I think he played 4 games for West Ham. So Husilos bombed. We go to Steiner. The idea is not wrong.
No, the idea is not wrong.
We always hire the wrong people. So if you go to the successes, Brighton, they generally have like someone that's been in the game, worked their way up, studied it, works have it, technical director, football director. They have a few that run that department, but these are football people. Now Steiden's football person, but again, we hired him from Leverkusen, and it was always fronted up that this is the man that started the ball running. Yeah, but it weren't.
Yeah,
the reason he left was because he weren't really that great.
Well, he was overlooked for promotion, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And
but why didn't they promote him? Because he weren't the man.
He weren't the man doing the business. Yeah,
they promoted the man that was doing the business.
Yeah. So Macaulay coming in.
Yeah.
Now, all right, he's got a new title. I just hope it's not another false storm. But you got to think to yourself, and people are saying quite rightly so, you can't judge Potter now because it's not his squad. He's only got one player in that squad that's his, Ferguson.
When I say you can't judge, I do think that naturally we're going to compare. Yeah. So I think there's a difference in comparing to what we've had and judging him. I'm not a sacker anyway. Yeah. And unless we're actually, I think actually, even if you're sitting in the bottom 3, but it looks like you could get out of it, you're still given the chance to do it, because more clubs have sacked their managers and got relegated than what have sacked their managers and got out of it. Funny enough. So, and for me, I don't think that there could, anyone should be able to say we need to sack him or whatever until minimum Christmas.
Yeah.
Because
and see what happens. Because people are saying now, there's been a few comments about what's likely to happen in the summer. I'm pretty much convinced, and I know the board have already started to put the messages out. I don't know if Sean's still watching, already, that we haven't got the money and all that sort of stuff. But I don't think we're going to be going out buying 30, 40 million pound players anymore.
Well, look, it was buried deep in the accounts, and I will take credit for this. Yeah, I pointed it out to Sean. Yeah, buried way down deep. That the club had sold. So you get your money from transfer. Cash flow is your money coming in. How does the money come into a football club during the season? Through its transfer book.
Mm-hmm.
So the money owed to the club for players we've sold. Then you have the money that goes out is the players we've bought, players we have to make payments.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to try and even it up. But we'd already sold off our transfer income book. took a 5 million hit on it. So there was 65 million on it. We took 60 million cash off of a payday loan.
To bring in cash flow. Yeah.
So we've had that money. So without that money coming in, we've already spent it. We've only got the money we're generating at the moment. Now, income is going to drop this season because West Ham generally budget to finish 10th. Well, we ain't finishing 10th. So income's going to be down there. Sean will point out, we're not in Europe. They knew we weren't in Europe before the season kicked off. So that
we've never accounted for Europe in our budget.
No. So that should be covered under the budget and whatever. But generally, what you're looking at when you look at the costs, that's what I said about the 880 people. How much does it cost to run a Premier League football club, non-football side? Because it all costs money. This is why there's so much pressure now on ticket prices, because that has to be fed. That club, the club is like an animal now, a beast, a dog that needs feeding, and it's fed on the fans' money. We're the cash flow. We're the ones that are going to tick it over, and the Premier League money. But that Premier League money doesn't differentiate us between the other 10, 12 clubs that we're competing against to finish in that 7th, 8th, 9th spot, because we're all getting that money.
Yeah, it's how you now see. I make you right. I think Potter's got to be scrutinized this time next year. Christmas later this year, before we make judgment on him. But I've got faith in what he and Macaulay did at Brighton. And I know there's loose talk about the potential of Dan Ashworth coming in the summer, which I don't think will happen. I think that means Sullivan really relinquishing all control, and he can't. But herein lies the problem. As much as people think Sullivan interfered too much with Steiden, that's why Steiden didn't succeed. Will Macaulay and Potter be given that? Will Sullivan be kept at arm's length for Macaulay and Potter to succeed in the summer? Now,
no, but we 14, 15 years of Sullivan, we know the answer. Yeah, Sullivan's got friends in close personal friends that are football agents.
Yeah,
so they're naturally they're going to be going to Dave, I can get you this player. Dave, I can get you. Now, the funny thing about it, Moyes is criticised for his lack of transfer dealing, but it quite possibly could be we should praise him, because it's possible that Sullivan was going, we could have this player, and he's just going, not for us, not for us, not for us. Yeah, not for us.
My understanding is that Potter has done the same. Apparently, this Andre Silva, where I think he's one of the clients of, I could be wrong, of either Salthouse or Siltman, and Potter has gone no because he wanted Ferguson. I don't know how true that is, but I think Potter is going to be a bit of a Moyes in that respect. I think you're right. I think whilst agents are in Sullivan's ear, they are going to be going, how about this? How about that? I think Lopetegui and Steiden maybe wanted to appease Sullivan and went, yeah, okay, we'll take this player, etc. I'm not so sure Potter will.
There's a difference as well in that Moyes was what we would call traditional old school. Moyes was a manager. Yeah. Now, managers back in the day, for those that may, were the ones that picked the clubs. It was the manager's scouts that scouted. He'd sent them out telling them to go find me a player that can do this and that. The manager dictated everything. Now, Potter's a head coach, Lopetegui was head coach. That ain't. They're a cog in a wheel. So they have to work with what they're given. Now,
but with the way Potter's talking about Macaulay being the eyes and ears for him, because he's done it before. They're on the same level. They know what each other wants. They understand each other. surely I'd love to think that maybe Sullivan. We know that Sullivan is envious of the Brighton model. We know that. We know he wants that. He's always wanted that of the Brighton model. He's now
Yeah.
got a couple of people that were part of that Brighton model.
Yeah.
You'd
But he
love
ain't
to
got the
think.
computer program, has he?
Well, yeah, there's the computer program. Well, that's why we got the Max Hahn who stayed on, who's the who's the data guru.
Yeah.
Apparently, the guy that ironically that Steiden brought in. But you'd like to think that if Sullivan was envious of that model, he's got to give Macaulay and Potter the opportunity to succeed, isn't he? Without getting involved. Maybe it was a shit show last summer. You know, Steiden, Lopetegui, Sullivan, all putting their fingers in the pie. You'd like to think now that with Macaulay in, who has been successful, he has helped to identify the likes of Cucurella, Caicedo, Trossard, and all that. You know, he was part of that process, wasn't he? He wasn't like the front man that Steiden was, where he claimed credit to all that. You could actually give the credit to Macaulay for finding these sorts of players. And you got to hope, haven't you? And you're absolutely right. You can't judge Potter now.
No.
You've got to hope that they're given the
all right,
opportunity in the summer.
Spin it around. How successful was Potter at Newcastle, at Brighton?
Yeah, this is the other thing that this
right,
is the
in
other
league,
thing.
in
It's
league
mid-table.
finishing.
It's mid-table.
Right. So and there's the funny thing about Potter. I think Potter's a good fit for West Ham. We're probably about the biggest club really that he could manage, in my opinion. Chelsea was way too big for him. He won't. I can't see.
And Chelsea was a shit show.
Yeah,
when he went there as well.
And there's a club way too big for him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what we're looking at, for me, Potter never challenged the top four.
Mm-hmm.
Now the thing about Potter and Brighton here as well is that everybody ignores or doesn't bring up is that Brighton done better after he left.
Well, no, I brought it up many a time.
Yeah,
the Zerbi did better, and the current manager has done better. Yeah,
Oslinger has done better. Yeah, so maybe Potter put in the foundations. We don't know. Would Potter have took Brighton to European football?
Here's the difference, and this is a good point by Neil. I bet the Brighton balance sheet of the last few seasons is impressive. It must be because they've made a fortune for that club.
Right now,
go on.
Here's the thing, but look at Brighton's debt sheet. So before they made that money, they were into Tony Bloom. I think it was something like £450 million.
Okay.
Yeah. Now Tony Bloom, though, I think I don't know if he writes it off or he's allowed to write it off. He don't want the money, yeah, because he's fucking shit busted rich, and he loves Brighton football. This is a man that loves a football club and will feed it all the money he can. Where Sullivan says he loves a football club, but I don't. And at the end of the day, football has ruined many a owner.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. that have gone bankrupt off the back of it. So I don't begrudge these people in a way holding on to the money. But where I do get the is when they talk about everything they've invested, when the truth and reality is, we said at the start, they've took more out of the club than what they put in. So no. I have more of a problem with the words they used and what they've done. But the problem is while it's a noble thing to only spend the money the football club generates, that ain't gonna, look, why are Nottingham Forest where they are?
Yeah, because the owner is pumping money into that club.
And they broke the rules.
Yeah.
And
but they paid,
they paid the points penalty. Yeah,
it was worth doing.
They survived.
Yeah.
And they've still got the players that they bought that they shouldn't have when they broke the rules.
And they're reaping the rewards of it now.
Now they're reaping the rewards. But can they? And the thing I always say is that while I will admire Moyes forever, it's with the 3 years of European football, he managed us for 4 full seasons, and 3 of them were top 10 finishes, which is bloody impressive. And the year we didn't finish, we won a trophy and
It is.
whatever.
But we all knew that his time, because he is a stubborn man, we knew he was never going to change. He was never going to change in the way
Do you think he could have done at West Ham this season what he's done at Everton this season?
Do I think he could have done?
Yeah. Do you think he could have done at West Ham what he's good at? He's gone into a club that had scored
I do
the
think
least
so,
amount of game. And this is the thing. I just think that maybe towards the end, the arguing over the contract really killed him.
It did kill him. And I think if we brought, and I know people ain't going to like hearing this, but if we got rid of Lopetegui and brought Moyes in, I think he would have won more games than Potter. I think, because he knows how to. We've got a better squad than we had when he left.
Yeah, I've done for a third time.
It's not something I would have wanted to happen. Yeah, it's not something I would have wanted to have. So don't get me wrong. I'm not advocating for that.
Frankly, I think Canning Townley's been pointed out recently, which is quite correct. At the end of the day, if Moyes had signed the contract when they gave it to him, he would still be West Ham manager.
Yeah, of course he would.
So,
and he probably would have seen Steiden out.
Yeah.
If it
that's what I'm saying. So really, and this is the thing. Yeah, they pulled the contract away.
Well, after 3 months.
Yeah, but he had an opportunity to sign a contract, and he didn't do it. Yeah. And I think he didn't do it. I do think that the fan base turned on him. And the Moyes out banner at Fulham, we were there.
Yeah, I was there.
I was standing next to him. We'd beat Fulham that day, funny enough. And he's walking off, and there's people holding up a Moyes out banner.
Yeah.
And he looked, we all see him look over.
Yeah.
That's a dagger to the heart, isn't it? And I think that was really,
and especially the fan that went up to him, where was it, in the car park or something, and said that the Europa Conference League was pointless. It's like, really, look, he did do right by us, but he had his faults, and we know that.
Yeah.
And Lopetegui probably wasn't the right man. Do we think that Potter? What people are saying here now, he won't challenge the top 6, etc. I think what I'm thinking in my head is that Potter may now have more resources available to him at West Ham than he may have done at Brighton. I could be wrong there, but I think maybe he would have done. And that's why I think you give him the summer and see where he goes. But
that could be a bad thing, though, because some managers work better. Harry Redknapp worked better when we had no money.
Well, here's the irony with Moyes, and I don't want to harp back on Moyes. And I remember the interview he did when he sat there saying, we're now in the market for a different kind of footballer.
Yeah.
Where he started talking about the 40, 50 million pound players. And I'm like, but that's not where your success was.
No.
Your success was going and getting the championship player.
Yeah.
That has turned out to be a superstar, etc. Why are you now? And I think that got to Moyes' head in some way. All of a sudden, he started talking about we had to buy big because we were in Europe. And I'm like, no, go and get yourself another Bowen. Go and get yourself another Souček for 19 million each, who have actually done the business for you. And I this is the thing I worry about with West Ham and not having evolution and what we said earlier on about you get a new manager in, and all of a sudden there's a need to have to throw money at that manager. And this is where I think maybe Potter might succeed. He's not going to need 150 million pound to rebuild that squad. He will go out and get the gem, the 15 million pound Ecuadorian player that none of us have ever heard of before. He'll go and get a 25 million pound striker if he can't get Ferguson. He's actually going to start banging the goals in, etc. And that's, I think, is going to be the difference with him. But we ain't got any patience, have we now, Nigel? We don't have that patience to wait for the summer to come for him to do that rebuild, for us to see how it's going to go, because we want instant success. And I've already started seeing like the comments about Potter, he's not right, and etc., etc. We're not going anywhere with him. That's why I asked you the question at the start: are we improving? Or are we? Or is there a platform there that might suggest that things can actually get better? Not necessarily for this season, because the results tell you
Well, this
it's not
season's a
better.
write-off.
This season's a write-off.
This season is. If we were Upton Park, we had seasons. And funny enough, yeah, people dress it up. We had many seasons like this under John Long. Yeah.
I know, and people don't want to admit it.
Trundling around, lower to mid bottom. You look at the mid 80s, 85, 86 aside. We trundled about a bit, and we were getting attendances. Football was in a bad way back then. Some of it was the violence and whatever, but we did get 14,000 at a game.
Yeah.
And I remember going to Anfield and the Scousers shouted out, "Come and get your West Ham scarves here, mid-table mediocrity. Come and get your mid-table mediocrity scarf is here." And that's what West Ham, and this is the thing. I want West Ham to win every game. And if West Ham won every game, we'd win the title. Yeah. That's what I want. But I'm not blind to the situation. And what I think other people do is they seem to forget. A lot of West Ham fans focus on, we should be doing better because we spent 150 million. Yeah. What they don't look at is the fact that we had to spend 150 million because Moyes hadn't really spent or recruited properly.
Yeah.
It previously allowed it to go stale. The amount of players we bought. If we'd have bought 3 players with 150 million, I might have thought, yeah, you got a point. But we didn't.
But he also, I remember him also saying, "I'm going to be careful with the club's money because I spend it like it's my own."
Yeah.
And then he lost so much money on players, Skamaka, and letting players go half the price that we bought them for, and all that. And he discarded players that he bought himself. And
no,
he wasn't.
And this is the thing. There's no one single person to blame for the way the club is. It's multiple people. It's virtually everyone. From the owners, and the way they run the club, the way they do transfer. When Brady turned around and wouldn't reveal her secret, and it's laughable. They mention about the Declan Rice deal while ignoring all the players that we've bought and sold for cheaper than what we bought because they didn't fit in at the club or they wouldn't work.
There's one successful transfer that we've had in the last 10 years.
And they're lauding it. So down to the fact that Moyes got stuck in his ways and he wouldn't bring through. What I do like about Potter in these 6 games is the amount of minutes academy players are getting now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Skulls.
Yeah.
So I think, and there's a big thing because it annoyed me. I cut it out. There was a big write-up in the Mail the other week about the Arsenal academy boys that are coming through.
Mm-hmm.
And I keep saying to them at work, you can laud it all you like. Our boys stuffed your boys in the final, and you know it.
Which they absolutely
in
did.
your ground.
Yeah.
So let's just, and this is the thing that, you got a national newspaper now lauding these Arsenal kids, but our kids played them off the park.
Totally. That we were there that day.
Yeah. So
we were there that day, and it was superb performance.
I think we know our kids, and you have to be careful and bring them through. And I think Potter's doing brilliant. Giving Skulls 20 minutes here, 30 minutes here. You can see every game he's bringing him on 20, 30 minutes. And that's brilliant. And in the next,
and about time as well.
Yeah.
And about time as well.
Do you know what we could really do with? We could do with another 2 or 3 wins. Yeah. Just so, like in the old days,
stay in the league.
Yeah. Right. We know the season's finished. Let's look at next season. Right. You kids, you're playing right. Ferguson, you're up front.
Yeah.
Right. I know a lot of them are out on loan. I think Earp is out. And, you know, what kids have we got? Right. You're playing. You're playing. You're playing. Let's have a look at the kids.
And give them real competition.
You know, here's the thing. I sat with, I was lucky. I said about Anton Ferdinand. And I sat with Anton, me and a mate, sat with him for an hour after the evening had finished. Anton stayed behind for an hour. His carbs were killing him because of the ice skating. Yeah. It's quite funny.
Oh yeah, he's doing
so he's doing
ice, yeah.
But, and I put to him, would you have had the career you had with West Ham if we hadn't have been relegated? And he went, no. Relegation in 2003 allowed Ferdinand, Elliot Ward, Mark Noble to come into the team and become regulars.
Good point.
And they would not have had the careers. I don't know if Mark Noble maybe not, yeah. But Mark Noble broke through in the second season. Yeah, I think he played, but of the championship, they would not have. So, and when you look through when we went down before, the likes of Paul Allen, like in the late 70s, brought through the likes of Paul Allen, Paul Brush, Jeff Pike were coming. They'd played in the relegation season. They became regulars in the division, and that built the back of that. The relegation of 91, 92. We brought a few more kids in. Just Stuart Slater, the late 80s. Stuart Slater broke through when we were down under Macari and whatever. Eamon Dolan came in, done well under Macari and whatever. We brought kids through. We have brought kids through, but generally when we've been relegated, because there's too much pressure on the Premier League. So we've got a season now where we ain't going to do anything. Let's get a few more wins and let's start playing more with these kids.
Yeah. And we've got, I mean, people have been talking about Earthy. Earthy tonight scored a brace for Bristol.
All right.
Freddie Potts has been absolutely superb for Portsmouth this season. So you've got a nucleus, haven't you? You could be looking at Potter, ironically, could be coming in at the right time at West Ham.
Yeah,
because he could inherit about 4 players from the academy who could become part of the squad. The squad.
Yeah.
You know, and that's another reason why maybe he doesn't need to be spending the money. I don't know. I don't know if we bought this guy or not yet. You know, Daniel Cummings or not. Have we actually bought him? You know, have we got a pre-season agreement with him, or
I don't know.
Because if he comes in, and then you got Freddie Potts, and then you got Skulls, and then you got Earthy, etc. You inherit 4 young players into this squad. There's a saving of £80 million that you don't have to spend in the transfer market.
Yeah.
You know, I agree with you. I think he's doing exceptionally well. I think the way he's managed Ollie Skulls has been superb. And I think if we'd have kept Potts in this squad rather than loaning him out, I think he would have been doing that with him as well this season. So it's going to be interesting to see how he moves forward. But I make you right. We can't judge him. And it's shocking, actually, that it's mainly Twitter, but it's shocking that people on Twitter have already given up on Potter, going, it ain't working, it's rubbish, etc.
Yeah, well, it depends. The problem with Twitter is you've only got 240 letters. Yeah, so you got to be it's short,
sure,
sharp.
Mate, I wish he only had 240 letters.
Oh no, yeah, you got to be short, sharp, and direct to the point. Yeah,
yeah,
and that's what makes it sort of bear pittish, if you get me drift. Yeah, in that you have to really go to the jugular, but in a way, you know, when you read it, perhaps sometimes the people they're not, you know, you judge. People had a go at me because I compared Potter's first 5 games to Lopetegui's first 5 games, and the interesting thing was, I think they was 3 or 4 of the same teams. It's just the reverse fixtures,
right?
Yeah, so the only team that Lopetegui played twice was Man City. Yeah, but goals scored, everything was nearly enough the same. The same points tally, near enough the same goals scored. near enough the same shots and everything. So the difference really is that for me is that Potter's win. We won against Fulham because Fulham were poor, not because we were better. Where Lopetegui's first win was we actually bossed Palace in their own ground.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So they returned the favour, come to us and done exactly the same.
Yeah.
So, but this season Potter's in a way lucky. He's got a free hit. He can finish 17th, and realistically, no one's going to bat an eyelid against him, or would think,
shouldn't do.
That it's on him because he ain't.
Yeah,
it's on the situation of the club.
Let's go on to the game tomorrow so we can finish off because we've done 2 hours and you wouldn't have thought so, would you?
No, fucking no, I didn't realize that. Yeah.
Are you going tomorrow?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll try and catch up with you somewhere on the way.
I've got another friend with me.
I'll
tell you off air who's coming with me.
Who's coming with you?
Well, I'll tell you off. I'll tell you off air who's coming with me.
It ain't Sean, is it?
No, it ain't him. No.
All right. So we're going to tomorrow's game, and you hear the same old stuff. Oh, it's the right time to be playing Arsenal because they've got a whole load of injuries, and yet they've won their last 5 games. No, they've won 4 out of their last 5 games. Smashed Man City. It took a while for them to get a result off Wolves and Leicester.
Yeah.
They found that a bit difficult, and maybe Potter's been looking at those games carefully to try and understand what Leicester and Wolves were doing right. I mean, it was the 81st minute that they got their first goal against Leicester the other night, or the other week, sorry. And what's your feeling? I mean, they do have, talking about youngsters, they've got a 17 and an 18-year-old in that lineup, probably starting against us tomorrow. I've got a feeling Scholes will start tomorrow. I've got a feeling Ferguson will start, especially with Lopetegui, especially with Paqueta being injured. How do you see tomorrow going?
I don't think Scholes will start. I think Emerson.
You don't?
No. The funny thing is, if you looked at the Chelsea game, actually, it was quite a good performance, wasn't it?
It was a good performance, yeah.
He played with the back 3.
He did.
2 of the 3 were not central defenders.
And Creswell. Yeah.
Maybe he could have started with that against Brentford. Yeah.
Well, no. Well, Soufal's injured.
Well, all right, yeah, but
I did think, I was surprised that he didn't start with the back 3 against Brentford. Maybe
so
he thought,
anyway, I think if he does that, look, 2 ways of looking at it. There's the old, it's a free hit because Jesus.
I don't believe in a free hit, to be honest, mate.
No,
I really don't.
I mean, look, I didn't think we'd beat them 2-0 when we did last season.
Yeah,
and we did. And fun enough, when we beat them 2-0, I think that put us in the top 4.
We were in the top 6, top 4.
We went top 4 when we beat them 2-0.
That was the day that Moyes was offered his new contract.
Yeah, it was Christmas. I think we went on to 33 points.
Yeah.
And then in the next 20 games or 19 games, we only secured 20 points.
Give or take.
How about this? At the moment, on like-for-like results against last season, we're currently 2 points better off. All right. Now, here's the crux, though, isn't it? This is where it gets a bit... Because we won at the Emirates last season.
Yeah.
So defeat would now then put us on -1 point against last season.
Right.
So, me personally, look, truth be told, they gave us a proper good hiding. 6, was
Twice. 6-0. They made up for that defeat at home. They thrashed us 6-0.
What did we get at home this season? Was it 6-2? 5-2.
When they should have been about 8-0 up by half time.
So, anything under 4, I might be happy. Yeah.
Progress.
Look, I've seen us win there. Yeah. And I've seen us have more fucking hidings there.
Yeah.
You know, under it, you know, under the great defensive manager of Allardyce, you know, under Sam, you know, I remember going there once. I think it was 1-1 at half time, and I'm thinking, blimey, we've done well, haven't we? And we lost 5-1. So, you know, Arsenal have got injuries though. They've got no Saka, no
Martinelli's
Havertz,
out, Saka's
Martinelli.
out,
You
a
know,
number of
I,
their players out.
they could, if you know, Ferguson, Bowen. It's a shame Paqueta's injured because he has got some. But if Kudos seems to play better away from home at the moment than he does at home.
Pressure's on him, isn't it? He's not being half the player that we
No,
know he can be.
no. And I read that the Ghana weren't impressed with him in the recent games.
Well, no, Ghana, the Ghanaian fans have been right at him because he's been, yeah.
So, you know, as I say, literally, we could. I can see a 2-3-0 defeat. I can. Yeah.
Okay. Well, the ever optimist, David, I've got Arsenal down to win 7-0.
Yeah.
Hell, mate. Being the eternal optimist, I think we're going to go 1-1. I think we're going to walk away with a draw because I've been looking at teams. Like, I think you're right. I think we'll go with 3 at the back. And I don't know who will start. I mean, I've got Mavropanos and Tadibo down. Probably, you know, Tadibo might not play might not start because he's only just coming back from injury. I've got Ferguson in there with Kudus and Bowen behind him. I can't make my mind up over Ward-Prowse or Souček to start alongside Alvarez. And I think
here's the thing. The funny thing I thought about that Brentford game,
go on,
is that if we had Souček on the pitch, Ward-Prowse had someone to hit.
The irony. Souček was taken off because he had a booking.
Yeah,
I think. Yeah.
So there's a bit of me that's like, you know, I'm so pleased that Ward-Prowse is back. And the improvement, it was like day and night from the first half to the second half last week.
Yeah.
So.
And he was part of that. He instigated that, didn't he?
Yeah, definitely. So I just think that you know, I think Emerson. I think Emerson will play. Wan-Bissaka.
Mavro?
I can see Creswell playing, not Todibo. Is Todibo totally fit? Is he?
Well, this is it. I don't know if Todibo's fully fit, and I think there is a chance that Creswell will start rather than because the one thing that you've seen with Kilman is he plays much better when he's in the centre of a back 3.
Yeah.
He's quite.
Well, he was great against Chelsea, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. And he's been good, like playing in the centre of a back 3, and that's why I'm not sure. It could be that Mavropanos will be dropped. Todibo starts on the right, and as you say, maybe Creswell on the left, and that's even more reason. If Creswell does start, even more reason why I think maybe Scarles will be given the nod because he's got someone very experienced guiding him behind him. I'd like to see Scarles start. Maybe it's a bit too much. I don't know. But Ferguson, what have you made of him since he's
the 45 minutes that he played was as not as good as it could be. You know, he could have done with a goal, but it was an impressive start to his West Ham career.
Yeah,
number 994
player that we've got.
Yeah, to have made his debut for West Ham.
So we'll be hitting the 1,000 mark this summer.
This is where West Ham historians are great because there are certain games I don't count. So certain West Ham statisticians will include the Essex Floodlight Club, as a first team game, which was played in the 50s. Yeah,
right.
I don't.
Why?
On the advice of other club historians. So I'm in a WhatsApp group with about 40 other historians of other football clubs.
Okay.
And it's my favourite WhatsApp group. And in there's discussions about legacy numbers. And so rather than use the one that I'd not seen one before, so I compiled my own, which means I had to look at every West Ham game in history and make a note of a player's debut. And then I did ask in the group about certain competitions, and the Essex Floodlight Cup was a competition, naturally, only played by teams in Essex.
Right.
So is it a first team competition?
So you were basing it on national competitions rather than...
So there was a Southern
history.
Floodlight Cup, where we played the likes of Reading and Portsmouth and everything else. And that was included. And the reason for that is because they had a Southern Floodlight Cup and a Northern Floodlight Cup.
Right.
And what happened is that then got scrapped and became the League Cup.
Right.
And the reason why they played these games is because in the 50s was when floodlights started. They didn't have floodlights before the 50s. So they wanted a cup competition to have to get the best use, get the fans in the grounds. Yeah. So so I include the Southern Floodlight Cups, but not the Essex. So if you include the Essex Cup, they've already surpassed 1,000 players
who have played for West Ham.
Yeah, but for me, I've done it because I want to try and make a big deal. What happens at other clubs, believe it or not, is that some clubs will award a cap with the number on, like the cricket, to the player. Other clubs will give a certificate.
I think we should do that for the 1,000th player that signs for West Ham.
I'm looking at a couple of things to do. A certificate's easy for me. I can print it at home. But if I frame, you think, because realistically, what they do is they go round to like sons and grandsons of players. They issue the certificates to. So, but for me to do it on my own, I do have to consider the cost implications. So, because if I printed a certificate for all 994 players and put them in a nice frame, that's the best part of $6,000 that's just gone down the curve.
Your missus that will be the turning point for your missus.
So, it's one of them things where I'm sort of, I've compiled it. I spent like a month compiling it. Every West Ham game, I've got the list. I update it now, so Ferguson gets added. That's how I know 11 players have made their debut this season. Yeah. So, trick question: what's the one game the most West Ham players made their debut in?
A trick question.
Yeah. So the one game that most West Ham players made their debut in.
Go on.
Think about it quickly.
Oh, is it recent?
Still. You ready?
Go on.
The very first game. They were all making their debut, weren't they? They were the first.
Right, yeah. That I see why it's a trick question now.
It's amazing. It stumped so many people. Always makes
Obsidian got it. Howard got it. The first ever game.
Yeah, that has to be, doesn't it? 11 people made their debut in that game.
Yeah,
Gravesend. There you go.
Right, 2 hours done. 2 hours and 15 minutes done. Mate, I know things have been sort of difficult and all that, but got to get back on this on a regular basis. I had to sub you in recently.
Yeah. One I was quite pleased with. The other one, fucking hell, you scraped the barrel there.
Well, I got Gary on once. Yeah. Who else did I get on?
Didn't you have Whetstone on?
Oh, yeah, no, that was a Thursday night. It didn't count.
Oh, was it? Oh, that don't count then. No, that's all right then. I'll let you off.
That was a
Thursday
Thursday
you how
night.
much I watched. Oh,
Yeah,
he's on
no.
off.
And you know what? He said something. He tries to wind you up. I'm going to tell Nigel that you got. Oh, that's all right. You go ahead. It was a Thursday night. It was a
Yeah.
filler night, you know,
right.
so it didn't count.
Yeah.
But yeah, Gary on the other about 3 weeks ago, I think.
Yeah.
You know, so he did tell me off when we went offline about the show, the show that you're still trying to put together.
Yeah.
We'll stop there. Right. Thank you, everyone. Really much appreciated for all your comments. I've tried to get as many as I could on the channel. So my appreciation to you guys. I'll be back after the game tomorrow. Obviously, do a review. If I find him in the crowd, I'll get Nigel on to do a review of the game against Arsenal tomorrow night. And yeah, have a good weekend, and we'll see you all soon. Where's the video? What do I want?